My name is Erica Haig, and I'm interviewing Tracy Brisson and Josh Nichols for Georgia State University's Women's March Oral History Project. The date is July 15th, 2017, and the interview is taking place at the Georgia Historical Society in Savannah, Georgia. Let's get started. He's excited. So what year were you all born, and where were you born?
I was born in 1975, and I was born in New Bedford, Massachusetts.
Okay.
1983 in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Okay. Both partners.
Yes.
Can you all describe your family's political leanings?
Sure. My parents are pretty liberal, and my dad was a union organizer when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
So they were pretty politically active when I was in elementary school. Not as much as I grew up, though.
Parents are pretty conservative. Growing up, they were small business owners.
What do you all do? Like, what's your profession?
I own a wedding officiating company, so I marry people full-time, and I have people who work with me on that as well. I also do some writing on the side.
I'm a software engineer.
That's always fun. So which political party do you all support? Or do you identify as, if you do?
I would say I identify as a Democrat, though I don't always 100% vote that way.
Democratic.
Have either of you been involved in political activities in the past? Or was the march the first time that you really got involved in
I've been involved here and there over my lifetime. I worked in New York City government for about 15 years before I moved to Savannah, so there was that. And I guess a year and a half before the march, I was the campaign manager for one of the candidates who ran for city council here.
Yeah, not really.
So which march did you all go to?
The local one.
In Savannah?
Yes.
And how did you hear about it?
Well, I'm the person who got the permit for it.
Oh, okay. That's right.
Yes. So originally it was a rally, and then there was a second rally, and I really personally wanted to march, and then I kept reading on different Facebook pages that people kept saying, why can't we march? I was like, let's see if we can do it, and we were able to do it.
That was all through the Pantsuit Nation Facebook group, or was that after they'd been renamed?
They didn't have anything to do with it, with the Women's March.
I feel like that's where
They had a bunch of events, but they did not sponsor that.
Right.
So, but was the rallies that you heard about was through like social media?
Yeah, I heard about it all via Facebook. That's right. Yeah.
And what spurred you on to take the initiative to get a permit?
Well, I wanted to march.
Yeah.
I would have loved to go to Washington, but my son was 6 months old at the time, and I could have left him with Dad. Just being like where I was postpartum and everything, the idea of being on a bus that long, and there were lots of reasons why I felt personally like Washington D.C. was not going to be an option for me.
Yeah.
I felt left out by that because everything about the march were things that called to me and I believed in. And the rallies, there was one rally and it didn't seem very organized. And so another group who's more part of a formal political organization decided that they would try to reorganize it, but the first person didn't really like that idea. So then there were two rallies. The person who was doing something informal, and then the organized group, and they were speakers, and just how I felt about what was going on nationally, politically, like the idea of standing and hearing people when the rest of the world would be marching, like it's like, this isn't right. Like, I know in Savannah, like, we're a local small town, and like people don't like to make waves and stuff, but I just felt like we could march. So I asked a number of people that I met through that political campaign I told you a few years ago that were community active and worked with police on things and got their opinions, and I contacted the police department, and they literally said, "Yeah, we were wondering why you're not marching. Like, you know, we got permits for 2 rallies, but like I thought this was a march." So I went ahead and got all the information and did the permit. Yeah, I've been kind of involved in like 2 things like that since I've lived in Savannah 5 years. The other was a rally for same-sex marriage, like when it became legal. Wedding officiant, so we married people for Forsyth Park, and like sort of there was a theme with both events where lots of people who are from here told me not to do it, and I was like, I don't have anything to lose, and it's something I want to do, and the official people are telling me we can do it, so let's do it.
Yeah. I hear that the permit process was pretty like easy for you.
It was so easy. I had, what I know about permits is mostly through weddings, which are private events, and you pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I had little familiarity with like what for a public event, but I don't know, maybe that context helped me feel a little bit more comfortable about what kind of questions to ask for. So literally like 72 hours before the march, I told the police we want a permit, and the officer in charge of that was incredibly supportive and said he would expedite it, and he told me to go on and plan it. But the official permit came the afternoon before the day of the march. But I was confident throughout the whole thing and all my conversations that it was a done deal from the moment I submitted it.
Awesome. That's fantastic. So did you, what was the issue that was most important to you, that you felt the need to march? And felt the need to march then?
That's a great question. There were lots of issues. I think the most one was being a new mom and my son, and like thinking about his future, but also sort of having gone through the last 2 years of trying to get pregnant, stay pregnant, be pregnant, and deliver a baby. It was sort of reproductive rights and control at that time, and still are, but like it was very personal to me, and I didn't like a lot of the rhetoric that was going on with the new administration and stuff, and the spirit of the Women's March that was going on. Like that was the number one reason. I had a sign, unfortunately we don't have time to find it, but it's like I'm marching for, there were 3 things, but one was my body and my son were 2 of the things that I put on the sign.
Awesome. What about you?
It's like there's just so many reasons to march in the environment. Reproductive rights. Like my sign was, I'm not a sign person, but geez, and like which I saw on the internet before and I thought was funny, so that's why I did it. But also it kind of represented like I don't even know what one thing to put on a sign.
Yeah. That's good. I like it. So, what other issues did you all see like at the march that were represented either by signs or shirts or talking to folks?
There was a lot of like reproductive rights signs or things in that area about talking about our bodies and what we can do with our bodies, and we did see a lot of climate and science signs that day, I would say. I'm not sure if we saw, those are the ones I remember the most from that day and like talking to people.
I remember you were talking to someone that she was like, I thought we were done marching.
Yeah, I had this interaction because we started the march from one square where the more informal rally was happening, and like I wore a Captain Marvel. She's a comic book character. Her colors are kind of like Wonder Woman, so I wore like a hoodie with that, and I had put on line because it was organized at such the last minute that like we like if you need me, find me in this jacket. So some woman found me, and she was like older, like my mom's age, and was like, you know, I'm here because I thought I've already marched for this. Like, and I talked to a few other women who kind of said that specifically or in those words, like I'm here because, like, why am I here? I shouldn't be here. We did this like 40 years ago. Like, I'm so upset that your generation has to be here to deal with this again. So we heard a lot of that multiple times. I feel like the crowd skewed a little bit older, which is great too. It skewed very young and very old, I felt.
Yeah. Was there, I think that one of the big issues surrounding the march was being transsectional and having all of like the different groups represented. Do you feel like the group in the march in Savannah succeeded there?
No, not really. I mean, this is my personal interaction, but there is a Facebook group that I'm a member of that I would say is, we're a majority black city, and I would say the majority of the members there are black. It's a basic, it's called Savannah Lives Matter, and I posted like the events that were going on for the 3 days in that group, and the administrator denied the post. He didn't feel like it was appropriate. So I feel, because of the last minute nature of stuff, like, it did not get marketed to other, market's not maybe the word I want to, but like, I don't think other groups were aware of it as much as people who were already in that scene, or new people in that scene to see that on Facebook. So I feel like we could have had a more diverse thing. But then again, perhaps if my post had been approved in that group, people would have been like, that doesn't speak to me. I don't know, but I feel like there was a gap there. Most of it was timing. It would have taken a lot more time and work.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so tired.
It's fighting hard.
Do you want the thing?
So before the march, what were you expecting? And then after the march, or during the march, how were those expectations met or not?
Well, it was an interesting perspective as the person who signed the permit. 6 months later, I kind of laugh about some of it. I'm oh, I didn't really have to worry about that. But I felt I was kind of worried about people's safety, even though I said on everything I could, I'm not responsible for your safety. I felt what was going to happen, but I felt kind of responsible in some way, as well as no marcher left behind. So the whole reason I did this to start with is selfishly, I wanted to march. I wanted to sign it, I wanted to march. And then because I was the one who organized it, I waited till everyone else had left, and I was not part of it. I was a block behind it. I was a block behind it. So, and then by the time we got to, so that was a little disappointing. And then by the time we got to Forsyth Park, which is where it ended, I didn't, because I was kind of walking around the square and trying to get people going, I didn't know how many people were there. I thought it was just a few hundred. And then we get to Forsyth Park, and the whole fountain area was it's estimated there were 1,000 people there. So I had no idea what had happened until we started pulling up behind and saw everyone chanting around the fountain. And then I got really nervous about that because our permit didn't cover that. So I started I couldn't even, I enjoyed that for a minute or two, and then I started walking around and being we're gonna go. And in retrospect, no, we could have stayed. People did stay and everything, but I just felt so responsible about that. I was afraid the police department was gonna come and send me a bill or something, and it doesn't really work that way. But it was an interesting experience to be in charge, but not in charge. A lot of it was in my own head.
I think I got a slightly different perspective because I was just, there was right at the time of the march was supposed to start. There were people that were very eager to start, and we're no, hold on. And it's on the square, so there's the two sides on either side of the street, and we're just hold on, and then people were we're going. And as with a friend, Carmen, yeah, she spoke earlier, but we were on the edge of it, and we're looking at each other. We're both kind of introverted, and we're and I think we were just march, and then just trying to get attention, and then I was away at that point. And it just
Pick him up. Hold on.
It's alright.
Oh boy. Surprise, it's a baby being interviewed. So, it was just streams of people. It was just it was just full, both sides of the street, just like constant. For I don't even know how long that part lasted.
Also because I was wearing that jacket and I'd said it, like people were coming to find me with like things that like were really not relevant kind of thing, which like I almost got an argument with one woman. She's like, I need everyone's email addresses here because we're gonna do all these amazing things, and I was like, I can't help you, this is not the time, and like people were marching by me and I'm trying to like get into the spirit, so I kind of I missed a lot of that, but I'm still glad about the cumulative effect of it, and I'll never forget walking into Forsyth Park that day and seeing all these people, and I'm like, wait, there were this many people who marched. I had no idea.
Yeah, and I think we were talking about the permit and worried about like traffic too, because there's the Savannah's happening during it, and like so it was Carmen and I were like kind of be like, hold on, let people go, and there wasn't too much traffic there, and like it was, I remember there was one truck, actually I think it was the City of Savannah truck that like, came and like we're like, go on, and then they weren't going, we're like, what are they doing? And then they finally rolled down the window, it was like, I'm just getting a picture, go ahead. Yeah, just like, I don't know what I expected, but it was definitely like more people than I expected.
Yeah, it was a lot more people than I expected. I had no idea.
Like, I don't know if I've seen that many people like moving in a direction or just congregated like outside of like a holiday kind of thing.
Yeah.
Hey.
I'm trying to sleep so hard. So tell me a little bit more about like the march route. Like, where did you all meet up at? Like, which squares? So you marched to Forsyth. Forsyth Square.
From Wright Square. So the original rally that was planned was in Wright Square. Mm-hmm. From what I was told by her, she kind of didn't. She just thought like a few people would come. She was just a mad woman, and then like people just start RSVPing, and she saw like a few hundred people. So she's like, oh, I gotta get a permit, I guess. And then the other group, the more formal group, went in Johnson Square, and they are lined next to each other. So we had talked about the safest way was for them to go to the most south square, which was Wright. Wright was more south of Johnson, and then go from Wright to Forsyth Park.
So it was just sort of a straight line.
Straight line. There was a part where we had thought about like, oh, could we kind of loop around to Johnson Square and then like kind of go in one unity thing, but that would have been a lot harder and possibly not as safe. And the police also like, please try to go from Wright Square, like keep it a straight line as much as possible. So yeah.
Were the police helpful with? I know they were helpful with the permit. But.
Yeah, I didn't see them that day until the very end. I think they came at the very end at Forsyth and blocked off Gaston Street for that last crosswalk when they saw there were so many people and they were kind of breaking up traffic. So
that's great. So were your friends and family supportive when they learned about what you were planning on attending? Or
oh yeah,
afterwards?
Absolutely, yeah. My father, like he thinks the whole wedding officiating thing I do is weird because he's like he's not religious, and my official title is Reverend, and I don't do religious weddings, but that's just like a quirk in the Georgia thing. So I told him once that like the ladies at the courthouse, when I have to go about marriage license issues, call me Reverend Brisson, and like he just thought that was like really like weird, and he's like, I don't want my friends to ever know that you're a reverend or something. But then like the day of that, like I posted some videos that day on Facebook, and my father like shared one of my videos, was like, my daughter, the Reverend Brisson, like leading people through, like I'm like Martin Luther King or something, Reverend Brisson, like leading people through Savannah, and I was like, wow, my dad's proud of me. But it was a little weird. Yeah, so they were on board.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Even Josh's, my in-laws who are conservative, like posted like comments on our pictures that they were really proud of us.
Yeah. Did he attend as well?
Oh yeah, he did. I had him in a baby carrier the whole time. He was facing front for half of it and napped the second half. He napped through the whole march part. Up until then, and when we walked around the squares, he was awake.
Were there a lot of other kids that you?
There
also
were a
met?
lot of other babies and kids, for sure. And I had posted it in the Savannah Facebook, the moms group there for anyone who wanted to go.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you feel like that social media had a big impact on who turned out?
Yeah, I think it was like the only reason why anyone came, to be honest.
I mean, it's the only
Yeah. But I do know compared to other places I've lived, also like Savannah kind of runs on Facebook. Like it's definitely. I'm sure lots of other small towns do too. But like, you know, if you run a business here and you're not like connected to other business people on Facebook personally, or the kind of activity kind of things you do and stuff like that, like it's really hard to like be connected and get a footing in this town. So we are extreme in that way in this community anyway.
Did you all do like any chants or songs, or did you have any favorite ones that you heard?
I think, it wasn't really, it was ad hoc. It was like, chant, march, march, march. We're like, what do we say?
I don't remember. I know, what were people chanting when we got to Forsyth Park? I don't remember.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, I don't remember. But everyone was chanting something. I think it was Trump, love Trump's hate. Yeah, we heard a lot of love Trump's hate. Yeah, that was what they were when we got there. That's right.
Or there's like at the end on one of the benches, like someone like was standing up on the bench. And
Oh, that's right.
I don't know what they were.
I don't remember.
And then they were being recorded also by something.
You mentioned that there were some speakers.
Yes.
Did you get a chance to like listen to them? What were they talking about?
We went to Johnson Square for a short period of time to hear a few speakers, but I don't remember anymore which ones we heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of adrenaline that day, so. And I know there were definitely, in Wright Square, it was more like you could sign up to talk versus like officials. And we didn't listen to, we couldn't hear any of those speakers if we'd wanted to, because like it was more informal, they didn't have the amplification and all that.
Gotcha. Did you all have any sort of like opposition protesters that showed up, or?
No, though I noted two things. One is like apparently we didn't see it though, but a car like with it, and a guy was wearing like a "Make America Great Again" hat, like stopped short on Liberty or Oglethorpe when people were crossing to Forsyth Park and was yelling at them.
It was Oglethorpe.
It was Oglethorpe, but I didn't see it. But we kind of heard it, and then but nothing came of that. And then also I did notice there's a very popular tour guide in Savannah who, like, he's the tour guide if you're ever looking at that kind of stuff. And on his personal page, like, he was making fun of like all the protesters. And what crybabies we were and snowflakes and stuff like that, and that made me angry. But you know, I saw it's because I saw him walk by in his like tour guide like shtick with his suit and his hat, and then it came across my Facebook feed, like someone forwarded it, that he was basically walking around just doing that. I don't know if you consider that a protest. Like, obviously, he was silent. He was all by himself. But, like, and he had, like, all sorts of likes. And it's like, you tell him, Dan. And I'm like, Dan was just, like, you know, being stealth about it in case it didn't come across that way online. But, yes, those are the only two, like, big oppositions I saw that day.
I don't know if it was opposition, but it was more like maybe, I just remember there were, at the rallies, there's like tourism still happening, so there'd be like the trolleys that are going around and like getting mixed looks from the
Oh, really? I don't remember that. Yeah, that makes sense.
I remember pointing my sign at them. I don't know.
Yeah, we had, that's a little bit unrelated, but like the day after the election, we went out downtown and there was like a impromptu like march of, I think, mostly SCAD students. They ran by us and with their signs, and there are tourists there, and like what are they protesting here? This is Georgia. And I was really angry the day after the election, so I spoke up and said, you know, Chatham County went for Hillary Clinton. You are in a Democratic town. So I feel like that's always something with some tourists. They're confused, maybe, more than like against it. Like, they expect when they come here, the South is going to be a specific way, and that is not the case.
We get some of that in Atlanta.
I'm sure.
Did you have any coverage of the local march at all, or did you watch any coverage from the national march?
Yeah, I was interviewed twice by WSAV on camera on the Friday and the Saturday morning. And I saw the reporter on that day, like, interviewing people. And then I do know that our picture of our march was in the New York Times. The Forsyth Park big shot, which it was in the New York Times before I got home. So that was really exciting. But those are the two, that was my individual involvement with the coverage, or that. I don't remember there being like a big local kind of coverage personally. Like, I know there was like a Savannah Morning News write-up, but it was pretty tepid in my opinion.
Were there any moments that sort of stood out during, before, after the march?
Just remembering you were on conference calls, of, like, leading up to it, of like trying to figure out how to get the march going, or like trying to convince people to do it, and it's like it seems too hard. It seemed too hard or too much liability to actually march. She's like, we could do this. I know how.
Yeah. I guess so. That's true. There was like the more organized group, Georgia Wins, who was trying to do the second rally. I had told them, like, why wouldn't you march? And then one of their board members came back with the liability issues and all these kind of things, and I was like, I don't think that applies to a public assembly permit under your constitutional rights. And the other thing I was concerned about too is the Georgia Wins was organizing their second rally when there was a first rally, and it just didn't seem it all worked out great in the end. It was probably meant to be that way, and there was no way like all the people who wanted to participate in this could have fit in one square anyway. So I think it ended up being fine, but there was a few points where I was like, this doesn't feel good. Like, this is supposed to be a day about women coming together, and we have these two competing events. They were competing at one point. And then a lot of people, I think, thought that because I was getting the permit for the march, like I was trying to bring those two groups together. And I'll be honest with you, I was not. Like, I just wanted to march. I selfishly wanted to march, I feel like a narrative about getting the permit about the march that it was what's the word I'm looking for? Like an event that brought everyone together and just like harmony, and we'll all march together. And I was like, yes, let's do that, but that was not my motivation, not at all.
So looking back as an organizer, do you feel like that has changed the way that you've done things moving forward, or influenced you in any way?
Not really. I haven't really been politically active since then, but that is more a function of motherhood than anything else. Like, there's been a lot more people, like, in the Trump era, like, people getting together, but they all happen at my kid's bedtime, which is like 6:30. And then as a wedding officiant, I work almost all day Saturdays. I just happen to be off today, but it's rare. So, I couldn't participate in the science march. I couldn't participate in the healthcare march. Mm-hmm. Actually, the science march walked through my wedding before it was set. Like, they were just setting up, and everyone's like, Tracy, and I'm like, am I Ministra? So it has. Unfortunately, the last 6 months have been probably one of the periods of my life where I've not been politically active at all. But that's kind of just not because of how the march turned out. Like, I was really inspired that day, and in particular, like, I read a lot of stories about the sister marches, local marches. I feel like that was the story of the day. Like, all these small towns and small cities that are raging together, and I don't know if people remember that. Like, it was just 6 months ago, but like sort of like the network effect of that across the world. Yeah, I'd love to participate in something like that again. But yeah, I don't know when or if that will happen.
So you felt inspired after the march. Is that sort of, have you done anything else other, like?
I met with our congressman, Buddy Carter, as part of a small group and I helped in my role try to get people together a little bit more, and recruited some people to broaden out the group. But actually, I felt pretty depressed after that meeting, because he didn't really care what we thought.
Responsive.
Yeah, I mean, he was polite and he listened, but he has his own political agenda. And that was in February, and that's probably the last political activist thing I've done since. So I still feel kind of inspired, but like I have not had the opportunity to, both from my own life and just other things that have come to me, to do anything else along that line.
Have you been politically active at all since?
No, it's just there's been, I think it's the same reason, just being a new parent, and like I went back to work in January. I had very generous paternity leave, actually. I had like 5 months. So
Yeah.
And just like trying to get back to work, and like also just there's just so much now. It's like where do you focus on one thing if I'm trying to like
It's true.
be a new parent and resume working, and like they're just like it's almost too overwhelming.
Yeah, like if I have like 3 or 4 wedding ceremonies to write on a Monday for that week, like, and I'll turn off all my distractions and work, and then I'll like go on Facebook at like 6 o'clock, and it was like, it's gonna take me an hour to read like all the New York Times stories about every single thing this administration did today. It's overwhelming from the perspective of like, what do you even get mad about? When you asked me at the beginning, like, what did you care about that day? And it was definitely like the reproductive rights, and I still am very passionate about that. But since then, I'm much more concerned about like basic civil liberties. When we marched, we didn't know about the travel ban. We didn't know about Betsy and some of her policies, and also sort of the profiteering that I feel like the Trump family has done. That one I suspected, but I didn't know what it was going to look like. So it's really like, it's a little bit overwhelming as an American. Like, okay, what can you do?
Yeah.
There's so much going on every day. It seems like almost like back when the Women's March was here is a simpler time. Sounds weird, but yeah.
It's only 6 months.
Yeah, I know. It's true. I feel like 10 years older.
Yeah, it feels like you can't even do anything. Like going through our representatives, we had the Buddy Carter meetings, and like there was a point during, not your meeting, but the town hall where they're like, "Are you going to listen to your constituents?" And he's like, "No."
He literally said
I think
no.
it was about the healthcare, and just like between that and Isaacson, I always forget it.
There's Purdue and Isaacson. Purdue's the one who's been really like rude and.
He doesn't do town halls.
Yeah,
Is that
Isaacson's just genteel smile, but doesn't do anything. But he's not like rude about it the way that Purdue is.
It's like I'll meet with like small business owners or something, like a group that he self-selects and all.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, I've gotten responses back from writing in, and it's like, thanks for that, but here's every reason why you're wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm going to continue to do this thing, so.
Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's easy to get sort of, not dismayed, but sort of sad about, I guess, all of the negative things.
It is. It is easy.
Do you all have any sort of advice for folks that are coming into this now, or just now becoming politically active, or are dealing with it themselves elsewhere?
Just do it. Like, if you have an idea or something, and it's not, just do it. I mean, no one could have showed up to the march, and that would have been okay. I mean, I think a lot of people kind of might receive negative feedback or like, we already do this, we already do that. And if they have something they want to do that they feel strongly about, they should just see how to do it and try to do it and try to get people to rally. But at the end, like, you know, don't be afraid of sort of the infrastructure and the organizations that already exist.
I think it's important to take care of yourself, like
Yeah,
mentally and physically, and like you don't need to have your phone on. You don't need to be checking everything every minute. I think that's like it's really tempting to do that, and just like you just feel worse and worse the more news you see. And it seems like Facebook surfaces that even like because that gets likes and reactions, and but you can turn off your phone. You can take a night off from screens, meditate. It's like anything, just like taking care of yourself, your family. It's important because it's like it's a marathon. It's not like you can't just read one more post and be like that's the thing that's gonna make you be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So you gotta play for the long game.
Do you all think that you are gonna try to attend like future marches if there is like an anniversary 1-year march or anything like that?
I would if there was. And I wasn't working, and then I definitely would. Yeah.
What do you all hope that will happen, taking like the momentum from the Women's March, politically, nationally, socially, locally?
Well, what I would hope is locally, like we'd have more candidates run, like a statewide, locally, in our congressional district. I haven't seen that happen though, but that was sort of one of the biggest outcomes that what I would hope is that someone would see would be those 1,000 people who showed up. Like, they're the people who could come today and they have money in their pockets, and maybe not as much as a rich donor, but like it's not helpless. And I feel, I've actually thought of moving out of the area in the last few months based on sort of the reaction to the congressional district situation here, which is we have Buddy Carter, a Republican, who keeps running unopposed. And the people who are more connected to the Democratic Party and organizations like that don't want to run anyone. They said it's not worth it. There's no way anyone could win. He's this, he's that. And I know their strategy behind politics is just not all, the best candidate wins or, et cetera. But like all that rhetoric around that is disheartening. Like it's a year and a half away from that election, which sounds like forever, but like there's fundraising and all that kind of stuff. And I would have liked to have seen like more optimism from like, look at, all these people who felt this way, like how do you kind of bring them together to channel that? I haven't really seen that, and I hope maybe it's there and I haven't seen it, but it's happening somewhere else locally. I really would like to see someone take them on. Even if they just come close this time, it's still worth it.
Anything different?
No. I mean, it's just a question of people are like, who's gonna run? Who's gonna run? And everyone's like, no one knows. And then
it's the no one knows part, and then the second part, which is like the explanation about why they don't run anyone against Buddy Carter. It's not worth it. Can't win. Stuff like that.
Would either one of you ever consider running for office?
I don't think so. I've thought about it, but I don't think so.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, maybe something really, really small, really like neighborhood association is probably about the level of involvement I can muster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more solid too.
Do y'all have any fears for the future, or fears currently?
It's like, I mean, the same thing I said about the sun. It's like, well, where do you start? Climate change.
Yeah, as a parent, that's the one that, like, I'm really worried about, because, you know, you could restrict reproductive rights for the next few years, and a new person comes in and kind of does that. But 3 years of damage against the climate, you can't reverse that, and we have a child who's going to have to live with that after we're gone, and maybe his children if he chooses to have them. And I find the climate part frightening.
Yeah. I think, I forget where the article was. Was it last week or the week before? That it was like the depressing climate article. That's like you
Like it's too late.
Yeah, it's like 80 years out where it starts getting too hot to like sustain life in lots of places, and how like the domino effect from that, and like how that affects the economy, and then that's like, you know, let's see, it'd be 80. That'd be like his children and grandchildren, or our grandchildren.
Yeah.
And that's if like, I think that was like optimistic if like the Paris.
Yeah. Yeah, the climate change is frightening me. The educational sort of both the kind of regulations and the attitude. There was a survey that came out about Republicans don't trust colleges, and I don't, you know, I want us to be a science data-driven nation, and that definitely scares me, as well as what's going to happen when my child goes to school and what that's going to look like in just a few years. Those things definitely frighten me. And also the economy. I mean, you know, I'm a small business owner, and, you know, people could choose to just really downsize everything. And I'm the person they need to get efficient, but still, you know, they might not want to travel. We're a destination wedding city, you know, the instability in the market of not knowing, like, what is going to happen with Trump and whether he's going to stay president and all that. Like, yeah, I worry, like, a year from now, like my business is going to be cut in half.
Yeah. And worry about the insurance as well. Just like my very lucky, I mentioned like the maternity leave, but like the company also pays for full insurance, like a good plan for everything, and like think of like if anything happens there and having to change jobs, and not like what things would be pre-existing conditions when I change employer health plans, and or just like what that's going to do to like the cost of insurance in general, or if they cut back on what they can offer.
Healthcare is a problem.
Yes. Do you feel like the movement as a whole can maintain momentum, and if so, how? Like sort of harnessing those.
Yeah, I think it has to get off social media. Like here, a lot of the groups that were part of the march and starting them, like were off. Like they've kind of stayed on. They were trying to meet in person, and a lot of that hasn't happened as much because people are busy. So I think they think people aren't interested, but then it's kind of stayed online, and I don't think action has come from that. So I think there's got to be a way to get people together around those kind of things to keep the momentum going.
Yeah, I think there's problems with the way the groups use social media, where it's like, well, it's going to encourage, again, like the things that are most discussed and most recent are going to be things that keep coming up, and it's really easy just to kind of like put things out there and then have the like the clickbait or just or just like trolling or things like that. So like, and if you think about like, okay, well, you have a group that has like they have their posts, like, and then if you throw that into like some person's normal feed, it's like, well, where is that going to show up? And then you have to be specifically looking for things in your group, and that problem still exists for groups sufficiently large.
Yeah. I also feel like people don't know how to talk to each other online, and I certainly can fall into that trap, but, you know, this whole, like, you need to pay attention to healthcare, because Russia is distracting you all kind of thing, and it's like, don't tell people how to think. There's got to be a better way to kind of communicate those messages, and you know, it can turn off people off. Like the Russia thing is, God, our whole democracy might be like have fallen apart. Like, you know, people have a right to be upset about that. And it's the clickbaity way that some of these online publications talk, and then I feel like it kind of drips into people's normal conversation with each other online, and then, you know, nothing kind of comes from that. Like, people just really forgot how to speak to each other, I think, or don't know how to translate that well. Like our big group here in Savannah Taking Action, it, like, you know, there's just a lot of like biting stuff on there. Like, I don't really follow it as much anymore because it seems just so negative. Yeah, I feel like we got to figure out how to talk to each other and take it offline.
I think that what you're talking about is like, there's a tendency of like, we have to consolidate everyone that under this one group. It's like, oh, you're trying to do that, you should talk to this one person because they're doing something similar, so you should amplify that. And it's like, well, that's not. I think it's a false dichotomy. Like, you don't need to, like, you might not be able to engage at that level, but you can do things on like a small group level.
Yeah, do your own thing. Just do it. Don't think you need someone else's approval.
Just jump in.
Just jump in.
There was one other thing that I wanted to ask you all. I'm blanking. But is there anything else that you all wanted to include in the for posterity about the march, about the future, about political feelings, social media, organizational, small business impact?
But just one of the things you just mentioned, like social media. Like, we were here doing our march, and like, actually it was impressive just seeing, like, I could see all my friends in other cities across like the country.
Like, you're part of like something.
And it's like, I don't know, like, there's like, who wasn't marching in that day? It felt like
That's a good, yeah.
Like, I have coworkers that are in Nashville and like San Francisco, and I'm the only person in my company that's based out of Savannah, so I just work from my home office. But I see everyone else in every other city marching on that day.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and just like, when I think back about all these people around Fowling, because I'll never get that image out of my head. In some ways, it's like specifically locally, I feel like we have this narrative about like tradition and being from here and all this kind of stuff. But like, statistically speaking, there are plenty of progressives here. The voting data shows that. Like, we have power. Why don't we take it? And I feel like we are consistently stuck in that back and forth in this city about, you know, about that. And people just need to let it go and be like, no, we actually voted for Hillary Clinton. Look at all these people who came to the march. We care about these issues, and we're going to do something about it. And we don't care if you specifically don't like it. And I just don't know why a lot of people in this town can't get there.
Get past that history.
Yeah. The history, yeah. Which, I'm sorry, you're an archivist, but like, it's like, screw history.
No, people have this issue a lot, I think.
I don't know if it's
a
southern thing. Like, I don't remember that from where I grew up. Like, this idea of being from there, and pretty much everyone was there. It wasn't as much a pride thing as I feel like it is down here.
Yeah.
But we don't have like things like old money and stuff like that. You know, and then I lived in New York City for 15 years, and no one's from there, so it's just, you know, like, there's none of, like, it doesn't express itself that way either.
I remembered the question, which is good. So, living in Savannah, which is like at sea level, near sea level, do you feel like the climate change, that impact is especially important?
Yeah. It's sort of in the number of things going on. Like our mayor has said that he's not focused on national issues like that. I've been kind of like, oh, I want to do something about that, but I haven't done anything about that anger yet. That's a good reminder for me to do something about it, because it's not a national issue. It's our place. The mayor of Beaufort, which is just across the bridge practically, has taken on climate change as an issue, and all up and down the coast, but not our mayor. Nope. I don't know about the guy on Tybee. Definitely local.
Well, that's all I got. Do y'all have anything else before we sign off? Okay. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate y'all coming out.
Yeah, absolutely.